Hey, good morning. Welcome to Hobby Evolution 550. 550 episodes of Hobby Evolution. It all began in, I think, June of 2020. First cup of coffee of the day. I'm a couple minutes late this morning because my computer didn't want to wake up. I was ready to go. My computer wasn't. DR is with us. Thank you. Good morning. Jenny, I was thinking you would do something on this after yesterday's talk on Twitter. Uncle Rich, I think, will be joining us. I just saw a message pop up. Victor, Herman, good morning to you guys. Yeah, it was something that stirred. There's Uncle Rich. Yeah, it's a topic that I actually receive multiple messages, throughout time of selling on eBay. How do you make money selling 99-cent cards? And I've talked about this before, but um, there was some discussion yesterday on Twitter with sending offers, and I've answered a couple questions via direct message on the processes and how does it work. So I just kind of want to go through it again because I know there are a lot of new people watching since probably the last time I talked about it, and I didn't have anything else to talk about. So here we are. Good morning. Let's see. Dan is with us. What's up? Rich is with us for a fourth straight day. Ed, good morning to you. And Rich, I did catch you guys on Hobby Hotline. I was kind of tuning in and out. I watched the very beginning. My wife came home. She had a late appointment last night for home listing. Um, so I was upstairs, and then I came down and I caught the latter half. So good stuff. I uh, I want to commend Rich. If you didn't watch Hobby Hotline last night, go back and watch it. Great show. I want to commend Rich for really bringing out the I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but with when you were asking questions to Sam, really brought out a lot of, because I haven't really watched much of her content. I admit I haven't watched her pod or listened to her podcast or watched her videos, but I've seen her on Hobby Hotline, and I thought you did an awesome job of asking some great questions of her time at the Mint Collective and her thought process, because she is much younger than most of us. So she has a different viewpoint, and also being a woman in the hobby is different than most of us. So I thought that was some great content last night on Hobby Hotline. And then I cringed when the tax talk came around and I heard the issue she had, and she dropped H&R Block, and I'm like, no, no, not H&R Block. Don't go to H&R Block next year. So that's my tax advice. That's the one piece of tax advice I feel comfortable giving. Don't go to H&R Block. Find a local CPA. Jenny says I was answering a lot of questions through message two. If you want, people are very interested in this file exchange, but I don't know how to explain. Told them to check your videos. And that's something, file exchange is something, because there was another change in file exchange. So if anybody's using file exchange and has had some issues come up, I know Andrew did this week. In fact, I do want to do a video, because it's always, file exchange is always, and it's not file. Well, yeah, it's eBay's system is constantly changing, which is no surprise. I mean, with any software, it's always evolving. And so there was another change that would cause glitches, and it would cause you to have failed uploads. So Andrew reached out to me on Monday, and he's like, "Hey, I just got this error. Everything was working fine last week, and then all of a sudden it stopped working. It was with the column for graded. And the template currently has not professionally graded as the keywords, which worked up until this week." And I'm like, and at the time he reached out to me Monday afternoon, I had no issues. I had done an upload on Monday morning, and had no issues. Every file um, every file went through fine. But then Tuesday morning, which was yesterday, I did my first update and it failed, and it was that column. So before I spent a bunch of time going in, I'm like, a lot of the verbiage that you have to put into File Exchange is like yes or no. Not a lot, but there's a few columns. So I'm like, graded, I'm just going to type in no because none of my cards that I list through File Exchange are going to be graded. So I'm just going to type in no, see if that works. So I copy and pasted no down the board, upload, boom, perfect. So I let Andrew know, hey, by the way, just type in no if it's graded, yes if or no if it's not graded, yes if it is graded, and that should fix the bug. And so that worked, and I did a second upload yesterday afternoon. But that, yes, Jenny, that is something that I do want to go more in depth. I talk about it a lot here on these videos, but it's not something that I've really explained. I have the blog post that that's uploaded. There's some changes, and I mean I have to go back and change it. I think I've changed it 3 times since I posted that article because things keep changing, and they do evolve with the with eBay's software. These keywords won't work with this column, and you have to change that. Rich says, considering we had nothing super newsy, we had a good show. I would totally agree with that. She just dropped a new episode last night, this morning. Excellent. I will. I'll make a point of checking out her content. Tell her in our chat not to do H&R Block going forward. Yes, definitely. Good morning, John. What's up? Yes, Rich, the H&R Block thing shocked me. Yeah, I just I'm not a fan. So what else is going on? So I did some file exchange uploads yesterday. I did baseball. I did baseball, and I think I think I did 2 different. I had one that I had started Monday night and finished it Tuesday morning. Um, by the way, the SKU custom label SKU is working marvelously. It's already a time saver from sorting. Um, I it's like continuing education when you work for a company. You know, my wife's in real estate, and every year they have to take continuing education because there's always laws that change. There's always real estate laws. There's different things that change. We're talking tax law changes every year. Sometimes they're really big changes, like with going into next year's taxes. There's a big change where all of a sudden there's going to be a wave of 1099s. So I'm sure CPAs are going through a lot of continuing education. And when you're I'm selling cards. It's almost like continuing education for myself, where I've got to find ways to keep on top of the market, but also streamline, be more efficient, and ways to cut that tedious time. And one of the most, menial uh, jobs in selling cards is the sorting, and try to find a way to streamline that by not having to sort, but also having it organized enough to where I don't have to spend time digging through piles trying to find cards that were ordered. So some label SKU method I talked about earlier this week. Um, if you're using File Exchange, it's like column 3, I think, in the template that I provided on my website, 1millioncubs.com. It's custom label within eBay, within the app. I think it's under specifics. So at the top, there's going to be required specifics that you have to have. Then there's the recommended specifics that just fill in a lot of the blanks. And then at the very bottom, it's like other. And so custom label SKU is under other, and you can type in whatever you want. So, and I'm going to show how it's actually this box right here. Okay. So I created my first attempt at doing this was before I used that column, and I just typed into the title A1. So what I found is that's not efficient at all. because it happened to me twice yesterday where I was filling orders and I pull out a pot, say it was 2019 Bowman Nolan Gorman. That was one of the cards I pulled. So I pull out 2019 Bowman. It's a fairly small pile. And I'm looking through. There's no Nolan Gorman. Where in the heck is this Nolan Gorman card? I look at the order and it's got the A1 in the title. So now I got to go to my A1 box and now I've go through a second pile. So that wasn't efficient because it wasn't popping up in the custom label where a listing with that custom label, it shows up separately and it's boom right there in your face. You see the title right below the title, custom label SKU B010418. So, and that's how I labeled. So B01 stands for box 1. So this is going to be my first box that I utilize the custom label SKU. And then 0418 stands for the date. So and then I added Batman because I added some Batman cards on Monday, the 18th. So I've got B01 0418 Batman. And then I did another update on Monday with baseball, and it's the same, except baseball is at the end. So that's why I wanted to differentiate between Batman and baseball, because I did two different file exchange uploads, and I figured there may be multiple uploads. So I don't want to just have a B010418 and then have several hundred cards to have to sift through. So that's how I'm differentiating it. And then I did an 0419. So then I put this is box 1, as you see. And over here, well, you can see, I don't know if it's, but I've got A1 on the top because that was the first non-custom label SKU that I used, and then those SKUs. So I know that there's box 1, and then each row, so there's 4 rows in each of these boxes, and I know what all labels are in, each row. So I don't have to go digging through, oh, where's my 04. And I'm glad I did the dates because that also gives me an idea of when I listed the cards. So if I list, if it's in December, maybe I should add the year because I'm sure several of these cards won't sell within the next 8 months. So I know in December, and this is great when I receive offers because everything I do with File Exchange, I'm open to offers. So if somebody's going to offer me $1 or $1.10 on a card, I may be more willing to take that if I see that this listing's been in my store for a year as opposed to a day. Because I'll get, within an hour of listing, I'll receive offers and it's like, this has only been online for an hour. It's got two views. So it gives me a better idea of how long things have been listed. So John, I see a lot of comments in the chat. So I'm going to go to the chat before I continue rambling on. Jenny's got some allergies, throat's on fire, hopefully allergies. That's not good. Yeah, we're let's see. I think today begins the warm up here. So feel better. Steve with us. Good morning, Steve. I enjoy your live show most mornings. And it's funny as hell when my wife asks, what the heck are you listening to? She says it sounds boring. I'm sure it is to her. My wife would think it's boring as well. Uncle Rich says, I've always had a private tax people and not a group like that. So that's always had a personal touch. Absolutely. And that's how I grew up with doing taxes. My parents always had like a family friend that was a CPA do the taxes, and that, I am like not organized and not my thing. So I don't want to screw things up and have to pay a fine or pay more or whatever. So I have never ever once done my own taxes. And then when I went to school and I took some some accounting classes and one or two of them touched on tax law, it's like, holy crap, there's no way in hell I'm doing my own taxes. My only piece of advice is have somebody have a CPA, private tax person, not a big company like H&R Block, do those taxes. Ed says SKU is definitely a time saver when pulling cards. Definitely. And this is another thing that I've learned immediately. Like, it's paid off. The time saving is immediate, like almost about as time saving as the scanner. Maybe not quite to that point because I can, scan so many cards so fast. But I mean that sorting time. It's probably saving more time than the scanner. John says I wear headphones now, Steve. My wife once said, "Oh, that's cute," when Bo said my name. That's funny. That's funny. Of course, I don't have that problem when away on business trips. Let's see. John's talking about the taxes. Jenny says because we go from 20 to 60 to 20. Windy is yeah, and that's what flare. That's why I had the flare up last week. We were bouncing all over the place. The wind was fortunately it hasn't been windy the last few days, so was able to get outside and take the dog for a walk yesterday afternoon. Um, Pray for Herman. His blood is too thin. Bo, what's the longest time between the listing and the sale of a card you've had? That's a good question that I don't know the answer to. Every once in a while, I will, and that's why I always say offers are, sometimes, percent when you're either sending or accepting an offer, it depends how long the item's been in the store. Because sometimes there may be an item in my store where it could be overpriced, but it might be within market, but it's been sitting in my store for 2 years. So I'm, say it's listed for $20, it's like I'm gonna offer 8 to 10 just to liquidate because it's been sitting in my store. Obviously, nobody wants it. I'm gonna send that offer for 8 or 10 bucks. So I really don't know. I'm sure it's 2022. I've had my store in some form or fashion since I think 2018. There might be some cards. In fact, I do know and this is actually this is a fun thing. I had a bunch of cards in my 2018 row, and this was last year when Otani was super hot. I had like 3 or 4 Otani rookies. They weren't in my eBay store, so they had either been delisted or so that was a good that was I was happy that they were delisted. I do need to take inventory because there's some 2017 and 2018 cards that were probably listed in 2018, maybe in 2019, that, when I go through the certain piles, it's like, "I can't believe this card hasn't sold. I wonder if it's even still listed." And then sometimes I do check, and sure enough, it is. And so it's probably been sitting in my store for 4 years. So I would say up to probably 4 years. I'm sure there's cards in my that have been listed on eBay in my store for 4 years. 80s in the Dallas area this morning. Jealous. I did my own taxes online once because it was simple and I was single and only one source of income. Yeah, and then as you get older, it becomes more and more difficult. I've had complicated tax years with many 1099, sort of self-educated, often trial by many errors. I had it wrong, and the IRS sent me a lovely letter saying I owed 5 cents in taxes. Victor says he's cloudy and maybe some rain in Chicago. I think when I looked out the window, it was cloudy. There was no snow on the rooftop, so I was happy about that. Herman says I don't know why people think I can't take cold weather. John says hopefully you have one of those big puffy Braves pitcher jackets. There you go. Um, so the title here is how you can make money selling those worthless cards. And I actually, by the way, I also talked to Mike Summer yesterday. I'm going to be on his podcast. I think it's going to drop next week. So we actually talk about my transition going from hobby to full time. So most of you that are watching here know that story, but we did touch on several things that I probably haven't shared on here that are going to be new tidbits, just based on the line of questioning. And Rich says, yeah, Mike has made a ton of money selling worthless cards, and we kind of touched on that. And this is a question I get asked often. And also, I think Ken tweeted something out yesterday where he, sold and made you can't make money selling worthless cards. So that was kind of there was a lot of ideas that came from various people within the last couple days. Ken's tweet from yesterday. Dan had a tweet about sending offers that generated a lot of discussion. My conversation with Mike Summer. So, and I'm going to point out before I even move forward on what I want to talk about today is Rich's comment. Everyone does things differently, and that's where I want to start because what I do is very tedious, but I enjoy it. I love doing it, and that's important. If you don't like doing it, selling these junky cards, well, and I hate using the term junky, um, but a lot these cards that a lot of people consider worthless, I love doing it. And there's also very little risk involved because, and I did talk to Mike about this yesterday in our conversation that will air on his podcast, Wax Pack Hero, next week. Um, a lot of the cards I sell are basically the junk that people think is worthless um, in bulk buys. So you go to a card show and somebody's just trying to get rid of bulk, and many times there's a lot of good stuff in there. There's still a lot of meat on the bone, and like my buddy John, who always brings a 5-row box, pay about a penny per card, and there's so much stuff in there that I can flip and put for as low as $1.50 in my eBay store, sometimes upwards of $5, even $10, where my cost of goods is a penny per card. When you take some of the inventory I've had, the boxes that are in this card room in the closet, back over here, a lot of these came at, less than a penny a card, a fraction of a penny. So there's like zero cost of goods that go into it, but I just assign it a penny to make it easy. So before I move forward, let's see the chat. Rich, in another great comment, some of it's knowing what to pull for resales, and that's an ongoing learning process that I continue to learn for myself by just trial and error, but also seeing what other people are selling. And that's why I like to share some of my wins, which I'm going to talk about just in the last 12 hours. Some of these quote worthless cards have sold. And that's continuing education where you just sometimes a friend of mine's brother wants to get into buying bulk lots and piecing them out and similar to what I do, and one of his first question was, well, how do you know what to buy and what to pay? And I said, sometimes you don't. You just take the chance. When I go to dig through bargain boxes, sometimes I see a card that I think might sell, and it's 50 cents. And I think, yeah, I could probably move this for $3 in my eBay store. And remember, it may take some time. It may take a couple months. It may take a year. But it's a chance that, uh, you know, am I going to take this chance? Am I going to put it back? Sometimes I pull it out, I put it in my stack, and it sells for $3. Sometimes it sells for $3 in a day. Sometimes it sells for $3 in a year. Sometimes it might sell for 10 or $20, and sometimes it might only sell for $1.50. Or and it might sit in my eBay store for $1.50 unsold. So that's absolutely correct. Ken says a group of 6 of the same players and does great with them, and that's something that he's the king of player lots on eBay, Ken. And I dabbled with that. I did a very, very, very small sample size. I think I did like 10 basketball player lots, and I think they've all sold by now, which tells me I should probably do more. It's just for me, I'm more efficient listing singles. I can do it really fast as opposed to pulling, I might have, 3 or 4, and it's kind of an organization, and it's something I do need to keep top of mind. I started doing that with some Bowman because baseball's been top of mind for me here over the last couple of weeks. But yeah, he does an awesome job at those player lots. Mike's Commerce has many prongs. We also touched on that: eBay, ComC, Sport Lots, brick and mortar. I stick to card shows and eBay because that's how I don't think I would have great success being divided onto multiple platforms. And I learned that when I was on Sport Lots, and I sold a lot on Sport Lots back in 2016 and 2017. and it just became too little, too much work for too little profit on sport lots. But that doesn't mean it doesn't work. Like Rich says, everyone does things differently, and Mike has great success on sport lots. There's other dealers that have great success on sport lots. So I'm not saying it's not a poor platform to sell on, but it is a poor platform for me to sell on because it's just not something that I don't enjoy it. But I'm also as I'm working, I'm trying to better myself on organization. But that was another problem that I had was, you know, I was pretty organized, but not as organized as I should have been. I know Mike Summer is like the organization king when it comes to cards. Um, Jenny says it's about the risk involved. Hobby bottoms out. You got 150,000 cards with $400 invested. Yeah, as opposed to a PSA with $1,000, and that's my thought process. But I've always been a bargain buyer. I've always been a bargain collector. I've never been, I was never chasing as a kid. I mean, I didn't have money, so plus when I did have money, I spent it. I would rather go and buy, with my how much ever my allowance was, go buy some packs of baseball cards. I didn't want to save it and buy a big card. Because for me, surprise, I like quantity over quality. But now with my Cubs collection, I like a mixture. I like the quantity, but I also want to have quality within the quantity, if that makes any sense. But yes, I am risk averse. I do not like taking risks when it comes, especially now that this is business. I don't like taking those risks. Um, but I think the goal ultimately, eventually, is once I get to a comfortable spot within the business and there's enough capital and there's enough money flowing in that I can take more risks. And that's something that I did do over the course of COVID when this was still a side hustle where, I had the extra cash that I could take some risks and buy, multiple bargain boxes or, buy this card or buy, several cards and take some of those risks. Um, Jenny says 2019 Heritage Dwight Smith Jr. sold for $1.75. See, that's what I love, and I'm gonna get into that here real quick on some of the cards that have sold out of my eBay store within the last 12 hours, and then I'll share how I do it. Um, Rich says on bulk, I do everything on a number per card basis. On singles, as Bo says, it's a bit of a feel. Yep, and yeah, same here. I like when it's quarter box fodder. I like that price point per card to be under a penny, up to a penny, and it also depends if it's Bowman with some Bowman firsts in there, I'm willing to pay a little more. But if it's just kind of like some random stuff that may not be a quick seller, then I want to be at or under a penny per card. Um, I have 200,000 cards I want to get on Sportlots, but I cannot understand that website. The shipping I get lost on and overwhelmed and done. It's a process to learn the website. But once you get the hang of it, it is pretty easy. Um, and there's a lot that kind of goes into it. And again, I haven't sold on Sportlots in almost 5 years. So I kind of the box shipping really turned my off, and that's a story for another day. Um, that 70 show says I like big lots, and I cannot lie. Always have a search saved for big lots of Braves on eBay. So Jenny mentioned she sold a Dwight Smith Jr. Heritage for $1.75. So here's some of my sales. And this is all within like since last evening, since about 7 o'clock last night. 2015 Allen and Ginter X Prince Fielder. 1984 Topps Football Common of Mark Murphy, sold for $1.50. 1985 Topps Common Gary Pettis, the iconic Gary Pettis card, sold for $2, and it was listed yesterday afternoon. $2 for an 85 Topps Common. What else do we have here? 2020 Topps Brian Abreu rookie card, sold for $1.25. A 1989 Pro Set Mike Singletary football card sold for $1.30. Let's see. Now, here's where those were all single card sales. One of the questions I received was, how can you make 99-cent sales work? How do you make money doing that? And the answer is, I don't. If I sell a card on eBay for 99 cents with free shipping, and that's just the only card in the transaction, I actually lose money. But that's okay. That's what we call a loss leader. That's the Costco rotisserie chicken. John's ears just perked up with the mention of Costco. I don't know. Well, I know John likes the hot dogs. Does John like the rotisserie chicken? So the rotisserie chicken at Costco is a loss leader. They take a loss. Yes, sir. They take a loss on those rotisserie chickens, but there's huge demand. And how many people go into Costco and leave with just a rotisserie chicken? They probably leave with a cart, and it's going to be at least $100. So I think the average person spends at Costco, like, I think it's like $100 to $125 per trip. I think that's what it is. Don't quote me on that. The hot dogs at Costco and Sam's are also loss leaders. Yeah, the hot dogs, the pizza, loss leaders. My 99-cent cards, they are loss leaders because I try to bring those people in. Husband hack, buy roses at Costco. Oh yeah. I'm on to that. We also have a local chain. It's actually part of Kroger. It's called Pick and Save, and they also have discounted roses and flowers. So my 99-cent cards are loss leaders because if somebody comes into my store and only buys a 99-cent card, I lose money, and it's about 10 cents based on all my supply costs, and I get all my supplies in bulk. Those prices are going to be different depending on, okay, are you printing your labels on paper? Are you putting just a regular stamp on it as opposed to using the standard envelope, 53 cents? Are you using the 1 ounce, or are you spending for 2 ounce postage just in case, which I suggest not doing unless it's actually 2 ounces, or if it's over an ounce, I should say. If it's over an ounce, then go to 73 cents. The idea is much like the hot dogs at Costco and the rotisserie chicken, because Costco has their, okay, everybody who walks through the door spends X amount. So if we can attract them with these $1.60 hot dogs or this $4, $5 rotisserie chicken, they're not going to walk out empty-handed. They're going to go and they're going to shop for other things. And I mean, Costco is like this giant, if you haven't been to Costco, it's this giant warehouse of, think if you're at the grocery store and there's all the magazines, there's the magazine rack that all of a sudden you get sucked into and you throw it on the counter. That's Costco. That's the whole store. The whole store is filled with stuff you just end up throwing in your cart. You're like, I'm gonna fill this cart and I'm gonna spend a couple $100 anyway. What's another $10 on this crap? So that's what Costco is, just a big giant trap of spending your money, but we all still love it. So that's the idea, is to attract these people with their with these 99-cent cards, so that they don't just come in and leave with a 99-cent card. Yes, there are people that will come in, eat a hot dog and leave. Come in, buy rotisserie chicken and dinner, and that's it, and go on. But most don't. And that's the idea with 99-cent cards, because people come into my eBay store, they're like, oh wow, 99 cents, and he's got free shipping on everything. And if I buy 3 or more cards, I get 20% off. Or what is my rate? I think it's 15%. If I buy 7 cards, if I spend $7, I get 7 cards, and I take 20, and I get an automatic 25% off at checkout. So even more savings. That's the ultimate goal. So that's when, like last night, I sell a 1998 Collector's Choice Emmitt Smith, a 1986 Topps George Brett, a 2006 Topps base card Brett Favre, a 1994 Upper Deck vintage, one of those vintage from the vintage set Mickey Mantle, a 95 score Alex Rodriguez rookie, and a 1985 Topps base card Cal Ripken Jr. Most of those cards, in all of these cards, in fact, I think came out of one of the Goodwill basically junk boxes. And that total sale was $10.50 for 6 cards. And so that's the idea behind I'm going to take a loss on a few transactions to get some of these volume deals. And that's why I tie in those volume discounts so that further gets people to buy. Where, not only are they getting some good deals on low priced cards, but now they get those discounts. And it's like, hey, I'm going to buy 10 cards and save 25%. They're already cheap. There's free shipping. That's the idea. So, yes, you're going to lose money at 99 cents. And it depends on how much you're paying on supplies. So 99 cents, if you sell a card for 99 cents with free shipping, I think the fees come out to be like 46 cents, or maybe even less than that. But I think the net after fees comes out to be like 58 cents. What is it? 58 cents. So you're spending 53 cents on postage. So now you're at net 5 cents. Well, you've got to pay for a top loader and a penny sleeve and the labels, and that's going to come out to be about 10 cents. So overall, I've done the math, and I think it's between 5 and 10 cents loss per 99-cent card. But again, what overweighs those losses is the fact that several people, now I probably these days I'm selling a lot of single orders, but it does outweigh those losses. So when somebody comes in and buys 20 of the 99-cent cards, it makes it well worth it. I'm going to go to the chat as I rambled. John says, do you track these loss leaders for your taxes? So I track everything, not down to the penny on because most of what I buy is in bulk. So what's tracked is the overall cost of the cards. So then everything's tracked. Not only materials, but your labor is also a loss for 99-cent sales. Absolutely. Come in for the hot dogs, leave with a $45,000 set of patio furniture. Yeah. And that's what it is, because right now it's all the gardening stuff. And I love to be outside, play with the garden. And I see all of these new toys, and I've been stuck in Midwest winter for 6 months. And I see the spring stuff, and it's like, ooh, hey, look at this. There's this nice patio set. We need a fire table. We needed a fire table at one time. We needed a fire table. And guess what? That fire table gets used twice a year. But Costco had it. Costco had the fire table. I will say I had to have it. My wife's like, we don't need that. And she was right. She's right most of the time. Even if they buy one 99-cent card, they might just want to see how you ship PWE. Yeah. And I have a guy that buys one card every single week. One card. Sometimes it's a 99-cent card. Sometimes it's a $1.50 card. Now I do make money on the $1.50. I think my net profit on a $1.50, I think, is like 45 cents. And he buys one card. It's usually, and Jenny, it's usually a Twins card, but he lives, I think, in the Northeast. And somebody else on Twitter actually said, because I think I was talking about it when it regarded to feedback, because I think if somebody buys something from you, and again, don't quote me on this, I'm not sure if this is accurate, but I think it goes week by week with feedback. So if say this guy buys a card from me this past Monday, when he buys another card next Monday and leaves positive feedback, I think it's another notch on the feedback number. Whereas if somebody buys a card today and tomorrow and leave positive feedback, it only counts as one feedback. I think that's how it works. But anyway, somebody mentioned that on Twitter. They're like, yeah, I've got a guy every Monday. He buys just one card, and he's been doing it every Monday for, months. I'm like, hey, I have a guy that does that too. By any chance, is his name, whatever it was? And I know his name. I just don't want to say it. But and he's like, yeah, that's the same guy. So, and he does it with multiple sellers. Let's see. Rich says, make a friggin' list. I do when I go to Sam's. I prefer Costco, but Sam's is easier to get into and also easier for me to navigate. We actually had a Sam's Club and it closed when they closed a bunch of their stores. I've never been a Sam's Club member, just Costco. I don't think I've ever even walked into a Sam's Club. My last 90 days, 231 repeat buyers. That's awesome. My number has definitely gone up as I build my inventory and continue adding inventory to my store. The repeat customers have gone up dramatically. John says it's like going to a card show, Rich. As soon as the first shot is fired, the list goes out the window, right? Victor says Jenny packages the cards very well. John, not for me, which of course why I go shopping with the wife, because she'll react like that and I'll always ask, is it on the list? Cooter says, I feel victim to your strategy the other day. Wanted the Bumgarner Heritage rookie and bought 2 other Giants just to get the 15% off. Yes, it's working. I am now up to 12 post 2000 cards in my PC. Very cool. I'm just joining, but can see why the SKU plus date in the title can be a game changer. It is like immediate results. I'm seeing immediate results paid off. And I'm not stressed with piles of cards that need to be sorted. Card Hobbyist, what's up? Good morning. Card Hobbyist made an awesome comment. Now I can't remember on Hobby Hotline last night. I can't remember what it was in regards to, but I remember seeing your comment on the screen. Michael says, Jenny, that's awesome on the repeats. I'm at 10% repeats. Sam's has better hot dogs. Oh, they have the Nathan's hot dogs. So I wanted to on, and I think I kind of have kind of hit on this as I've rambled on about how I make that money. And it's always been trial and error. And what I started noticing was I would put, and I think I mentioned this on Mike's podcast that's going to air next week. A 1992 Topps Brian Taylor. It's like, remember when this was like the hot card? I'm going to put this on eBay for $1.50 and see if it sells. And it sold like right away. And it's like, well, if Brian Taylor sells like this, I wonder if Ben McDonald and Greg Jeffries, you would be surprised, possibly shocked at how much Greg Jeffries, Brian Taylor, Ben McDonald, Kevin Moss. Actually, Kevin Moss doesn't quite sell as well as the other guys. But I just sold a 1990 Upper Deck Ben McDonald the other day, and some of these cards sell. Some of the iconic cards, Todd Van Poppel, he's another one. Some of the iconic like error cards, even though they may be commons, like that 85 Topps Gary Pettis. I've sold every auto Brian Taylor I've had in the past year, $10 each without any issues. Yes. And it's absolutely amazing what can sell. And I reached that conclusion on my own through just trial and error. Like, hey, this is a cool card. Jim McMahon's another one. Jim McMahon was my hero. Probably not a good hero when you're 5, 6, 7 years old. Sorry, Jim. But it's like, I would buy a Jim McMahon. I would buy this Jim McMahon. It was like an 85 Topps card. It's like $1.50 shipped. I would buy this and boom, it sells. William the Refrigerator Perry, boom, it sells. So a lot of these cards that you think that are in common boxes, that would be in dime boxes at a card show, you can turn around and sell and make. And again, if it's $1.50 shipped, you're making about 40 to 50 cents net profit on those cards. But when you add 50 cents, and if you're doing this hundreds, thousands of times over, it's pretty good money. And then of course you supplement that with, your bigger sales, buying dollar boxes that you can flip buying in bulk dollar boxes. Most of those cards within those boxes sell for $3, $5, $6, maybe up to $10. Sometimes I pick through and I'll buy 10 because I don't feel the whole box is worth it, or the vendor, it's a new box, he doesn't want to sell the box outright. But maybe it's been sitting there and it's dead inventory for him and he sells it for $0.25 a card. And now I've got 1,000 to 1,500 cards out of this box that I paid 25 cents per card that I'm moving for 3 to 5 and just building up, scaling up in that regard. It takes volume, and that's the thing when you're selling these cards. That's another barrier that people see. Well, I don't have the time. And you may not have the time. Because I understand everybody, like Rich mentioned, everybody does it differently. And I don't have kids, and I do this full time now. But if you're looking to, and my if you're looking to go in full time, my number one piece of advice is do it as a side hustle, but treat it as a business, and crunch the numbers and then project out, because it may not work. I tried this in 2016, 17, a different, I tried the rip and flip method. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have I didn't have my expenses down to a T. So I wasn't utilizing that. And I wasn't, ripping and flipping in 2016, 2017. There wasn't enough buyers in the market for these cards, even though the wax prices were super low compared to what they are now. And now it's not feasible because the wax prices are so high. While there are buyers, the prices, it's not worth the rip and flip. Cliff Floyd was another big autograph card that I have a lot of. Diego hasn't made any content lately, usually drops daily. Herman has noticed that as well. Mike Summer, good dude. He's been a good source to ask questions. He is. I don't know if you were in here earlier, but we had a chat yesterday, and so I'll be on his podcast that drops next week, talking about transitioning from hobby to business. So that's going to be on his podcast next week. Jenny says you don't have kids and you live in a state where being indoors 50% of the year is normal. Yes. Yeah. Would I have the patience to do this if I lived in San Diego? Probably not. Mike Summer is my spirit animal. I love his thoughts on the self-sustaining hobby. Most definitely. I know he loves sport lots. I tried it, not for me. Absolutely. I'm the same. I actually did it for not several, but a few years. I was heavily selling on sport lots for a few years. And then we outgrew each other. Sport lots and I fell out of love. But with that said, it is great for many sellers. But it's also not great for many sellers. Mike has also built a collection out of his business. He's just about to complete back to 57. AIH Sports, good morning to you. Just found this channel. Fellow Cubs fan. Very cool. I love it. 67. Welcome, AIH. Online has opened up so many opportunities to collectors. Yes, both from a buying standpoint and a selling standpoint. There's Andrew. Good morning, Andrew. I've interviewed Mike in person at the industry summit, and he's been kind enough to have me on his show. If I could choose someone to read me bedtime stories, it would be Mike. Ed's got to run. Thank you so much for jumping in and chatting. Michael says, I'm amazed how many shops refuse to put in the work. I am too. I am surprised by that. But I also understand. So I think as I've transitioned and do this full time, I understand. Last year, I went to my local card shop and I was digging some cards out. And I think this particular instance was just the card shop not knowing what they had. But I pulled out like a Justin Verlander rookie card that sold for $40, and I think I paid $3 for it. There was like a Alex Verdugo Chrome rookie auto that I bought for like $5 or $6 that sold for 35 or 40. There was a lot of cards that, I pulled out of the dollar box that I sold for $5. And initially I thought, well, it's just laziness by the dealer or the card shop that they're not paying attention to inventory. But when you have so much inventory, many instances you have those cards as basically bait to bait buyers in. Because I do that on my own. I plant good cards in my quarter boxes and dollar boxes just as a reward for people digging. Now, I'm not going to say, I'm not going to make a row specifically for, here's all the $10 cards you can go to eBay and flip. It's going to be a reward for people who dig. Sometimes people get lucky. They'll pull out a pile, find a great card, and they only, here's $1 for this $10 card. But A lot of people spend hours digging, and I know I, as a buyer, when I'm digging through bargain boxes, like finding those little surprises. So I kind of understand from their standpoint now, doing this full time, that sometimes it's not, you can't always keep up with your inventory, especially as it grows. And I mean, look at this room. I mean, just one of these shelves, I lose track of what's in some of these boxes just in one shelf. And think of a card shop or a dealer with, much more inventory, how hard it is to track, especially with how fast some of these prospects come out of nowhere. A prospect may come out of nowhere, like not even on the radar, and all of a sudden they just are on fire and you're scrambling. Aquino of the Reds a few years ago. How many Aristides Aquino, I'm probably butchering his name, Elite X, I think he only had Elite Extra Edition and maybe Bowman Chrome Autos. How many of those were in dollar boxes before he made his debut with the Cincinnati Reds? You may think you have it, but are you going to spend that much time looking for, in case it was probably a higher dollar card, but in some cases, a $20 card, is it worth spending hours and hours digging through random boxes trying to find a $20 card where somebody gets lucky and finds it, in a bargain box the next or at your shop? Jenny says shops don't have time to deal with eBay or want to. I would disagree with that, because most shops that I know of, actually their main source of income is eBay. I know the local shop here in Madison, he's actually an eBay consigner. And he's also big into selling on sport lots. And what's the other shop I was thinking of? The Freeport Card Shop. They have a huge eBay business. So I would say most shops are actually heavy involved on eBay and other online selling platforms. Michael says I'd work 80 hours a week doing cards versus 40 in my job. Most definitely. Absolutely. And that's where I'm at. And I'm okay with that. I don't like, I like being active and not physically active. I like being mentally active. I can't just sit down on the couch and watch TV and focus on TV. It's that like ADD thing going. So I like sorting cards. I cleaned my rec room the other day. Now it's a freaking mess because there's piles of cards. I finally brought in that last tub of cards from Goodwill. Going through that, but I'm as soon as I get off here, I'm going to grab another cup of coffee and I'm going to go out. I'm going to watch Jim Cramer. I love Squawk Box. I'm going to watch Jim Cramer and the other guys, 8 o'clock, CNBC, and I'm going to finish sorting. And I'm going to get into shipping, get into listing. And I enjoy doing, and so, yeah, so I enjoy being mentally active and doing, like, I like watching shows and TV, but I don't like focusing on it. I like doing something mindlessly almost, like sorting cards. It's time management. Burbank segregates their online and shop inventory, but they don't do shows. And I think that's a similar method to what I do. My online inventory is completely separate from my card show inventory. Now, that doesn't mean I'll take some stuff off, like my slabs that I sunk a few $100s into slabs thinking I was going to get ahead of the game on basketball last year, and I failed. So I put those in a value slab box at my card show. And then vice versa. If I have stale quarter boxes, okay, I want to turn these quarter boxes over. I'm going to pull some cards out, put them in my eBay store for $1.50. And then the stuff that I don't want to put in my eBay store, I'm just going to bulk out as a quarter box for $100. They will call over to their warehouse if you're looking for something not in the store, even for commons. That's cool. I'm old. Thought you were talking Jose Oquendo. Different here. One's go to. One doesn't even have an eBay. The other has maybe 4 cards a week in auction on eBay. Wow, that's actually very surprising this day and age. That I remember the local card shop I went to in high school. I would drive down like every Sunday, and it was kind of like a hangout when I was 16, 17 years old. they were on eBay, and this was 1998, 1999, and that's eventually they did most of their sales on eBay, 1999, um, and then they closed not long after. Um, let's see. I bought my first bulk lot when I was 22. My mom flipped. It was 20,000 cards and paid $350. That's awesome. Card hobby is same. TV just makes me want to take a nap. The internet is my ADD cure and curse. Absolutely. It's the best of things and the worst of things. Second bulk lot was about 12,000 cards. I paid 1,200 eBay. My girlfriend at the time became my wife. Now ex flipped too. Second bulk was all Bowman, several large cards I flipped to spend back ASAP. That's fun. I love the bulk. Maybe later this week I'll talk about some of my bulk buys and collection purchases because it's always fun to reminisce and sometimes they don't turn out well. I've had more good luck than bad luck with my bulk buys. Um, so I kind of rambled off and went off on some different things toward but selling those worthless cards, and I showed, and that's why I like to make a point of it on Twitter because you always get, well, is it worth your time? If yes, and I'm going to say this again. I've said it before. If it wasn't worth my time, I wouldn't do it because I'm smart enough to I consider myself intelligent enough to realize if it's not worth my time to not do it. So it is worth my time. It may not be worth your time, and that's okay. Like, go back to what one of Rich's original comments was, everyone does things differently, and that's okay. What's good for me may not be good for you, and that's okay. Cooter says some of us remember when card shops had an auction wall to help move inventory. Damn, I'm old. I do not remember that, but and but I don't remember much about like I don't have card shop memories as a kid. Like I went to card shops all the time in the early 90s. But I remember buying like a pack. I remember buying like some quarter cards or probably dime cards back then. But I don't really have much memory of the atmosphere, just things going on from card shops. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. Just random talk about, yes, even worthless cards can sell on eBay. Yes, it can be worth your time. Sometimes you're going to take a loss, and remember, um, don't. And what I would advise, you don't have to make money on every single transaction. It's okay to take a loss here and there. Now, you don't want those losses to add up. You want to be careful. You want to be strategic about it. And that's why with the 99 cents, single. Now, on the other hand, I stopped listing cards at 99 cents free shipping, and I'll end with this as we approach the hour. I did stop listing my cards at 99 cents with free shipping because I noticed I was trending more single card sales as opposed to people taking up that volume discount. So that's why I stopped listing 99-cent free shipping. Now, there's still hundreds of cards in my store with that. And if I sell one for 99 cents free shipping on a single sale, I'll take that 10-cent loss. I'm okay with it. But I hope people come in and buy multiple cards. Even if they buy two cards, it's worth it. It's a profit. So that's what I wanted to touch on. So not every transaction has to be a winner. Rich has got to go. Take it easy. The fundamental thing is we like cards. It's a labor of love. Absolutely. Jenny says, have a great day. David is with us. What's up, David? Good morning. Great discussion. Have a great day. You too. Should do a 50% off 25 plus moves. Lots for me. And I've thought about doing some of those. And I may do, I've thought about doing some like product variation listings, and I have several variation listings in my store, but I haven't done one in a while, and that way I can get a little more creative with those offers. The one thing that I am hesitant to do those big 50-cent or 50% offers is, say I go to and I have it store wide. Say I list like the Mike Trout rookie card for $600. somebody can go in and buy 25.99 cards and the Mike Trout rookie, and all of a sudden that $600 transaction becomes $325. So that's one thing I want to be hesitant. Or if I have like a case of, say, I bring in a case of Heritage Miners that all of a sudden is worth $2,000 now. If I have a really high percent off, that $2,000 price tag is now 1,000. It's like, well, oh crap, that's not good. So that's the one thing I'm hesitant about, some of those higher end, higher percentage, where I want to kind of keep it to specific items. And you can do that. You can go in and specify. I do like when I keep it small, like 25% off. I'm okay. And oftentimes when people buy, like the Mike Trout rookie sold for 600, the person could have found six other cards for 99 cents each and saved 25% off that $600 transaction by spending an additional $6. So um, sometimes it's like, oh, I'm happy he didn't notice that. Got to keep it on a limit for cards of certain price, otherwise people will clear you out into your big dollar cards. And there you go. Yep, exactly. Mine max is at 250. Interesting. Okay, mine actually I do it store wide. But I think I'm going to get a little more strategic if I do variation listings, just mainly to move cards, because I understand, a lot of these cards, especially with set builders, they don't want to spend 99 cents or $1.50 on some of these cards to build sets. And I'm definitely willing to work if they're willing to buy a certain amount of cards. So that's what I had for today. Thanks for tuning in. Great chat as always. Love it. Have a wonderful Wednesday, and we will chat again tomorrow.